Hey guys, it's Ted Bogert. We are back with the TED Show with one of my favoriteest people, is that a word? Favoriteest people on the planet. The one and only Dr. Ruth Baskerville is back on the show. We're going to talk about Waverly's Way and how there's how we get it, educational access to the American dream for everyone. She's a ghostwriter. She's a mom and a grandmom. She's a great friend. She's a community advocate. She does so much for the world. Her website scrolling across the bottom, www.excellence.org. And yes, that is just a www, no w dot, just a www.excellence.org. Ruth, welcome back. How you doing?
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Ted. It's just like old times. I wish we were at the top of the Citrus Club, but this is a good second.
It's a good one. I mean, I am. I wish you were here. But I do love the fact that we're all being as safe and compliant as we possibly can.
We have to.
About that. So before we take a deep dive into the topic and talk about educational access to the American dream and Waverly, give us a little background on you. People love origin story. And for those people who haven't seen you before, they might not know. So tell us a little bit about Ruth.
Okay, well, I am a 45-year veteran educator, and still teaching and learning is just in my blood. I live in Central Florida, came from New York, in case anybody listening can't tell from my mild accent. I grew up on Long Island, interracial child, and the second of 5. And I have been in Central Florida now for almost 17 years. Love it, love it. So, and I became after I retired twice from education, I became a ghostwriter. I've ghostwritten or edited 47 books, published authors now, and I have 5 I'm working on now simultaneously. And then, of course, Waverly's Way, which I know we'll talk about in a minute. So that's me.
First of all, let's talk about the education. You obviously are Dr. Ruth Baskerville. So you've gone about as high as you can possibly go in the educational system. What did you do before the 2 times you retired? Were you an instructor, an admin? What were your roles in education?
Well, you know, I started out years and years ago, in 1969 to be exact, as a high school English teacher. And then I taught theater. Then I ran the drama club. Then I became English department head, then principal, K-12, central office, head of curriculum, head of personnel. I ran a charter school. I ran a Christian school. And so not much I haven't done working with the leaders. And turning failing schools around seemed to be my bent. Just changing the culture, changing the happiness, the attitude. And when you take care of the big people, they take care of the little ones.
I love that. Changing the attitude and the atmosphere. I think that's so powerful. That could be across any platform. It could be, Ruth, of course, talking about the school system, but it could be your business. It could be so many things, your church, your philanthropy. We all run into those snags where we have a lot of unhappy people. Things aren't going that well. Productivity's down. And that attitude is so much of it. It's just everything to me.
It is.
So talk about the ghostwriting a little bit. Define that, because I think we all sort of know, but we've only ever heard about that on TV. Like it's always seems to be the only thing that stars do. But ghostwriting is a real, you have done it, 47 authors you have worked with. Yeah. How did you get into that? And then how did that business build? Give us a little background on what ghostwriting.
Well, I'll tell you, it actually started out financial. My husband passed. I'm almost 9 years a widow next week. It's hard to believe because I was married 45 years since I was 19, and I was just lost when he died. And so I'm still living in my big house and everything. And I sold, you know, the baby grand piano. He had a Rolls Royce. All of this. And then I looked around and I sat in the kitchen crying and I said, well, God, what would you have me to do now? I mean, do I just leave? Do I foreclose? What am I doing? And I tell you, it must have been 1 hour. The first person called and said, can you help me write my book? And I said, I can. Yes, I can. I am the author, by the way, of 3 books, one about racism in education, called Hoodless Clan, and 2 about grief, finding the humor in grief, because as you know me, Ted, humor just follows me, and I have grown to accept it. So you can even find a little humor in grief. So that was the first person. I will tell you what ghostwriting is not. You cannot give me 7 words on a napkin and say, can you write my book? And this is no lie. People have said, can you just like do it? And no, I can't. But I can embellish and characterize, and I can add bridges, and I can give description. But I definitely need the author. So I look at myself as the midwife. You're the baby. It's your baby, but I can help you deliver it. And to a person, they're satisfied. They have their audiences that needed their books, just as diverse as you can imagine. They're making their money. They're on their way. They're telling their story. And I'm working with 5 more now.
I mean, I just think it's amazing the way you describe it, which I don't know if you said it, but I'm going to say it again if you haven't. You talk about how they just have a story that needs to be birthed. They have something. And I think anybody who's been a creative understands exactly what you're talking about. You have this idea, this feeling, this passion, this story, this song. I mean, you're this piece of art. You have this vision, and you have to get it out. Sometimes we don't have the tools to get it out, which is why ghost writers are so important. Like, I could flesh out an idea. I think I could write something, but wouldn't it be amazing if I made it even that much better, tapping into a ghostwriter who actually has all of those other gifts that I don't have?
I tell you, I think of it, it's just my gift from God, literally, is writing. I can just pretty much write anything. That stinging memo, that poetry, that book that you need, you know, that college application. I mean, it just, there's enough spice and flair and professionalism or tenderness, and, you know, and so all the people that I work with are very, very happy. And I just say it's a gift. There's so many things. I mean, give me a certain amount of technology, like coming on the TED show the first time when I messed up. I mean, I'm on my knees in the fetal position, but if you put me before the word processor and tell me to write, mwah, I'm home.
Listen, I love that we all know our gifts and our weaknesses and stuff like that. I think it's important, but I love the fact that there's an option for that, because I think a lot of people do have that feeling of, I need to get it out. Well, you can't really have a ghost artist. You can't really have a ghost singer. But ghost writing, that's such a beautiful way. You've got this story you want to tell, and you just need some help telling it.
That's right.
That's what's such a beautiful thing about what you do. All right, so let's talk about Waverly's Way. Give them the background on Waverly and what exactly Waverly's Way is.
I tell you, you know, we got married young and didn't have a single thing, didn't have a dime. It was just an amazing beginning. And in college, we had our only child. And so we had this 1-year-old kid, 2 sheepskins, drove to his parents' house and had 87 cents and no milk for the baby. That was the beginning. But wow. Waverly went off to Wall Street. I went off to teaching, and we just built an incredible life. He was a man of excellence. You kind of straightened up when you were around him. It was just who he was all his life. And so just 2 years ago, actually, here I am, almost 74, and at 72.
You look amazing. I know that's your age only because I did the math earlier, but wow, your skin is flawless.
Oh, bless you. But, you know, so there I was, and I felt like it just dropped. It was Waverly's Way, educational access to the American dream for everyone. Being in education for so long, and especially with the pandemic and all of the challenges that kids are facing forever, I get the feeling that who's going to help kids now who fall just a little bit behind? I never got this, or I lost it, or when the pandemic hit and we stopped school, I forgot it. And whatever grade, whatever age, school now hurts. I'm embarrassed. I don't want to be there. I get an F and F and F and F. And so Waverly's Way, dun, 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 dun. So we literally say, what do you have to do tomorrow? Any subject, any grade. In fact, Waverly's Way goes all the way up to a doctorate. So if you're a graduate student and you find yourself, I just can't get this paper, we have people who will help you all the way up to a doctorate. But for the kids, this is an amazing week. It's Dr. Seuss and Read Across America. And in honor of both of those, we have free tutoring all week, any subject, any grade, any child. And if you go to my website at the bottom, you'll find the form to register your child for free tutoring for an hour.
Wait, say that again. So any subject, any subject, any grade.
Listen, we've pre-calculus, we've done Spanish, we've done, first grade reading, just any subject, whatever you need. We got somebody who has the skill set, the professionalism. Some of the tutors are med students. They're all just incredible. And they have what I like to think of as the Waverly's Way ethic. That means they care about what's going on. And to a person, the kids go back to school with an A, and it's just great. And that confidence that you get when all of a sudden things are working, like this doesn't hurt, this ain't so bad. And then
that's the thing I think you give them with Waverly's Way, is that sometimes people equate just the knowledge as the reason why the child might be struggling or having a hard time, but the confidence, because the typical structured school doesn't always have the time to give the one-on-one. Right. And so if you can give them the confidence, if there's somebody that can help them, it's miraculous to watch a child of any age. Finally, that light bulb goes on, and finally they feel good about the work they turn in, which impacts every other aspect of their life. So you're helping give them the confidence, even though it's about the lesson and making sure they pass and get their grades up. It really boils down to the human side of it.
It does. And that makes the critical difference when they approach the next task they have. It just matters. That aha moment is great.
So what does someone do? We had some questions before we went live. You've already answered the one about any child, any subject, because people are like, well, I've got this thing. It's still, you can go to www.excellence.org, fill out the form, and somebody will get to you and talk to you. I think it's awesome. But people also want to know how they can get involved. Are you looking for tutors? Are you looking for volunteers? Do you do fundraising events? People want to know more about the whole Waverly's Way initiative.
Oh, yes. And actually, we've done a newsletter. The second one is coming out end of this month. We are always looking for tutors. And tutors are not just like current teachers with certification. They can be retired. Some are retired educators. As I said, medical students. They're people with some type of professional, like Waverly could have been a tutor, and he could tutor anything in math from K all the way to 12 or higher. He could do any of that because finance was his thing. So if you had a skill that you know how to share, you can become a Waverly's Way tutor. And by the way, if you go to the same website, there's a form saying, I want to be a tutor. There's a form saying, I'm an adult and I need a tutor. And then there's a form that says, I'm a parent and my child needs help. So any of that is Waverly's Way. And yes, we're getting ready to do a couple of fundraisers. I'll be doing some webinars soon, and I'll be advertising them, where we talk about test besting, those standardized tests, how to beat them, how to finish on time, how to deal with SAT, all of that. I'll be doing, slowly throughout the next 12 months. We're always looking for investors. You can always donate to Waverly's Way, any amount. We are a for-profit organization, but I tell you, everything goes into the product. What is the product? Just happy kids, happy adults, people who have a goal, and we help them get there. Simple as that. Educational access to the American dream for everyone.
I love it, because it's funny, because I love that the American dream means different things to different people. But that's okay, because what you're offering is a whole bunch of different services on different topics to different people. So it's this broad stroke that I think we've needed. I think people struggle with, first of all, asking for help, adults especially. So I love the fact that there's an adult component to this. But kids, kids are tough on each other. COVID has not made anything much easier. And so kids sometimes struggle. They know they need the help. They don't know where to get it, or they're afraid to ask for it for fear of whatever that might look like, quote unquote. And so I love the fact that it's open to anybody that wants help. If you've never seen a kid light up like we talked about earlier, you don't know the power of that. It is life-changing, not just for the kid, anybody who he comes in contact with, and honestly, for you too, as the tutor and the person involved. It just makes it all worthwhile.
Yeah. And it's so good for parents. You know how frustrated parents are. Look how many parents, they didn't sign up to be teachers, and they have to deal with one or two or three kids in the house, and they feel as inadequate as that second grade child who came home crying. So they have a deep respect for educators, but here we are. And still there are so many being homeschooled and having the Zoom type of learning. Well, we work very well with Zoom, but there's something good about that personal touch. And by the way, we also have a little discounted service for groups. So let's say that there's 5 kids and they're all in chemistry and they're having a terrible time, and they all want to get on a Zoom thing with a teacher who can help them. We can accommodate that as well as that one-on-one. Just help me get through this assignment. I'm in 3rd grade and I'm scared. I don't want to be retained, that sort of thing.
So what's the ultimate goal for you? You obviously are doing 1,000 things a day, which is what you do because you give back. I mean, everything I know about you is all about giving back. Yeah. What's the ultimate goal? Do you want to make Waverly's Way expand the geographic location? Are you looking to get into the school system and be a resource for them, which you probably already are? What's the ultimate goal for Waverly's Way?
I pray that prayer of Jabez in the Bible where he says, expand my territory, enlarge my territory, God, because I'm a good steward over small, and I will be a good steward over more. You know, if I can handle little with class and with clarity, I can handle much. So that is my prayer. I already have a couple of tutors from out of state. I have a couple of students from out of state. And so because of the pandemic, the one blessing I can honestly say is we can tutor anywhere in the country, anywhere. And so we've already expanded a little, but as we get a bigger tutor base and a bigger student client base, and then they tell others, word of mouth is still the best. It's like that with my authors. Word of mouth still is the thing that keeps bringing me business all the time. But my heart is education first. That's just my heart. So whether people need to birth out a book, whether they need to pass a grade, nobody should have to be left behind. No child, that whole no child left behind can be a reality with Waverly's Way. So I see vision and purpose and satisfaction. And I just see people, you know, getting on their way to meeting their goals as opposed to that brick wall that says, I quit, that kind of thing.
Love it. All right. Ruth Baskerville, Dr. Ruth Baskerville, tell us the best way people can reach you, find out about the tutoring, find out about your ghostwriting, find out about your books. What's the best way for them to reach you?
Well, they can go to www.excellence.org. But what I don't have set up there is a, like an email type thing. But my email address, which is almost as easy to remember, is Waverly Ruth, wrbaskerville@aol.com. If you email me at wrbaskerville@aol.com, I will respond within minutes. And there's no question too simple, or there's nothing to be embarrassed. I take so much to the grave. Just tell me who you are, what you need, and if I can fill it, we have a relationship. Absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Ruth Baskerville. You're amazing. Waverly's Way, educational access to the American dream for everyone. What a great show. I loved it. Go to www.excellence.org. You can reach Ruth on her email, wrbaskerville@aol.com. Ruthie, you're amazing. Love you to pieces. Thank you for all you do.
Thank you, Ted. Thank you. Love you back.
All right. Ruth Baskerville, guys. She's amazing, right? Reach out to her. We all know somebody who could use this, and that confidence, I'm telling you, will just change lives. So get involved. Reach out. www.excellence.org. We'll see you guys later.